Welcome. I'm Jill Ryan, Chief Executive Officer of Courtemanche & Associates. This is the first in a series of tips that we'll be sharing with you related to Joint Commission's top scoring requirements. Our first is related to failure to implement the infection control plan. Now, some of the findings that we see scored in this area relate to, for example, storing supplies on an open rack, bottom shelf open rack, that make it difficult to clean the floor underneath the rack, and when cleaning the floor could potentially contaminate your supplies or clean linens. Another example are food service workers observed with head covering, not completely covering their hair. Same scenario in the surgical setting, the mask or the hood or the cap not covering all head or facial hair. Another example is products that have an expiration date, supplies and other products that have an expiration date being used beyond that expiration date. So oftentimes it's not that there is not an infection control plan or policies and procedures around that. It's that there are challenges with adhering to that plan. So some tips to address that issue and decrease scoring in this critical area include staff engagement with the infection control and prevention practitioner and others in rounding. How do we make rounding fun? Perhaps create rather than traditional infection control rounds that use a checklist process, create a game out of it. I spy both the positive and the not so positive findings and use that to review policy and procedure, enhance education for staff and licensed independent practitioners. Engage constituents from across the organization. Share the burden, quote unquote, of reviewing for infection control breaches with clinical professionals as well as non-clinical staff, ancillary and support professionals, to get both the benefit of their perspective as well as a greater understanding across the organization and how we can best control the risk of spreading infection in the organization, but also how even small breaches in process can impact infection control in our organization. Please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us with questions and be on the lookout for our next tip.